Hello, welcome everybody. This is Neil with Portal to Ascension. Thank you so much for being here for the second day of the Walk-ins conference. It was amazing yesterday. A lot of information. I could feel, like, I'm not even kidding you when I say this, I could feel the vibration of the speakers and the conversations. And it was definitely a lot of these individuals, if not all of them, are embedding these frequencies from these star nations, and it emanates from them, right? And I could feel it. And I was so excited and happy to be able to assist in facilitating this. So again, my name is Neil with Portal to Ascension, and you are now a part of the Portal to Ascension University, in which we create epic events, consciousness conferences, tours, retreats, and more. Um, every single year. We've been doing this since 2006. And at this point, I'm at around 110 events a year, full on conferences, 3-day conferences, about at least 20 to 30 conferences a year, online and in person. And then we're also doing tours and retreats and live events. We take speakers like Billy Carson, like James Redfield, like Michael Tellinger. We do all their events for them, take them on tour around the world. So you're now part of a consciousness event production organization, but this specific event is a part of our online university, in which not only do you get to attend this event, but you also have over 1,500 hours of free footage available to you on every topic I've had the opportunity to think of in the last 20 years. So we have that on our website for you. You're going to, at the end of the event tomorrow, I'm going to play a little video, and it's going to show you how you're going to be able to access your replays and how you're going to navigate the website. But this is a one-stop shop for consciousness and a resource for you. And I'm extremely excited for you to be a part of this, and for us to really be moving forward together, in this new year, in this new decade, with this information, where it seems like this is now going to be the foundation for the new reality that is now emerging. And speaking of new realities, let's go ahead and bring on Alan Steinfeld.
Yes, it was, Neil, it was, and Sheila, it was a new reality yesterday. Putting this out to the public, to 100 that were here and all the people online, it starts to awaken another level of awareness in people's minds. And we were talking before we went live that part of the purpose of doing this conference is to wake people up to who they really are. And when you find yourself alone in the world, or just feeling different, it's nice to know there's a community of people that also feel different, so you can all feel different together, but be a part of a greater reality. And that's what Portal to Ascension does. That's why I support Neil's work and Sheila's book and her next book and everyone who was here, because we need to know there's more to the human being than what we've been told, and this is a foundation for it. So you don't have to agree with everything you say here, but you can just take it in and contemplate it, and let it awaken something in you, because we're breaking new ground, all of us together. So, and I want to just acknowledge Sheila, because she was so passionate about this subject that it was her soul's intent and her soul intent to make something like this happen. So thank you, Sheila. Anything you want to say about yesterday?
Uh, Alan, I agree with everything that you and Neil have said so far. It's an amazing conference that we had. It was exciting. It was uplifting. All the presentations were phenomenal. We went into the night with the discussion panel, which we'll also have tonight, and I'll run through the speakers here in just a minute. But, the conference is focused on the walk-in experience, but whether you're a walk-in, a starseed, an indigo, a wanderer, whatever type of cosmic being that you are, this conference is for you. And even if you're looking for spiritual or conscious expansion, this is for you. So I am so grateful that we've come together in this manner, and Neil and Alan for supporting this conference. And I want to mention real quick, if people are interested in continuing the discussion, continuing community, please sign up at Cosmic Souls on Earth.com. I'll put that in the chat in a few minutes, but we have monthly community discussion and support group meetings and from the response I got yesterday, I think instead of being monthly, we're going to have to go twice a month. Right now, we're meeting on the first Thursday of the month from 6 until 8 p.m. and that's Mountain Time. So please join us. You are not alone. We are here for you. And if you want to reach out to me, it's super simple, just SheilaSeppi.com. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you wish to reach out to any of the speakers, if you have the book Walk-Ins, The Cosmology of the Soul, which the conference is based on, everyone's contact information is in there. And again, I'm not trying to promote book sales, but it's a great resource to have. And this conference is about us and not book sales. But although all the presentations were different, they also shared a common theme of love, being in service, raising the vibration of each other and the planet. And we also stand for freedom of choice, not AI driven, not something forced upon us. We stand together as one, and we are here. And I think we're starting to come together now, and we are united, and really we're the ones we've been waiting for. And so let me run through the agenda real quick. I want to turn it over to Nicole to give us a grounding meditation before we get started. Andrea Perron will begin right after excuse me, right after the meditation. And then at 11:10, this is Pacific time, Hildegard Miner will be up. And then at 12:10, we have Maya Cristobal. At 1:10, Neil is going to give us a presentation. I can't wait for that, Neil. And then at 2:10, we have Darlene Vandergriff. At 3:10, Yvonne Perry. And at 4:10, we have Robert McWilliam. And so we have another jam-packed day. And after all of the speakers, then we're going to have another panel discussion. So Nicole, honey, if you would go ahead and kind of ground us, settle us, and get us ready for the event.
Good. Thank you very much for the invitation, Sheila. Welcome to everybody. If you want to place your hands in either prayer or in a position of receivership, go ahead and close your eyes. As soon as Neil said go, I started getting downloaded with all of this new energy, and I can tell you with certainty that the guides and the beings and our celestial families, our galactic families, our ancestors, they're all here to support us. So go ahead and feel yourself grounding to the earth. Good, nice deep breaths. Just letting go of anything that's holding you back from being totally present. Allow yourself to feel safe and protected. And just say a prayer of gratitude, acknowledgement to the energy of Mother Earth, Gaia Sophia. Thank her for this opportunity to be in service of her ascension. Feel yourself rooting to Mother Earth. Feel your roots going all the way down to the crystalline core of the earth. Feel yourself synchronizing with the beautiful energy of our dear Mother. And go ahead and see yourself protected in whatever way that works for you. So I like to surround myself with a diamond, a crystalline diamond energy. I see 4 points, one to the left of my left shoulder, one in front of my heart chakra, one on my right side and one behind. And I connect those points. I see a point above my head and a point below my feet. And I go ahead and I connect all of those points. If that's a visualization that works for you, you can go ahead and see yourself being totally connected with the vertex point of this crystalline protective layer grounding in your heart center. Good, and we just want to invite our galactic families, the councils of light, our ancestors, our future selves, our higher selves, all of the guides and the beings that have supported us in coming together in this perfect and necessary way at this time. We just want to thank them, ask them to continue to protect and guide our work and continue to open our hearts and continue to heal ourselves so that we may heal one another and continue to heal Mother Earth, Gaia, Sophia. And so it is. I wish everybody a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you. So now I would like to introduce a dear, dear friend of mine. She's a sister of my heart. This is Andrea Perron. Now, most of you may know Andrea from the trilogy that she wrote, The House of Darkness, House of Light. But, you know, Andrea is so much more than a world-renowned author. You know, she's one of us. And she has a beautiful message to share. So, Andrea, let me go ahead and just turn it over to you. We can't hear you, sweetie. You're on mute.
Gotcha.
There you are.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's you know, God bless technology. I think it's what's saved all of us. Thank God the internet didn't explode or blow from overuse when COVID hit, that we're all able to still communicate and communicate perhaps in different ways. I haven't been able to hug you for 1.5 years now, but I hug you every day because you live in my heart. And you are a truly special soul, a truly gifted woman. Your book is phenomenal. I'm so pleased to have been a part of it, you know, to write the foreword along with Barbara Lamb, and to have been invited to join you on this remarkable journey. It is, you know, this was inspired. This conference was inspired, and we're all such different and unique individuals, and yet each one of us brings something so incredibly special to the conversation, to the discourse. You know, Neil, I think, had mentioned earlier that, you know, the news is getting out there. It's getting out there. We're going mainstream. You know, even the government is starting to say, what? You know, I mean, we've had twice now in the last 2 years official notification that we are not alone in the universe from the Department of Defense. You know, here we are. Here we go. This is, I love being able to say, I told you so. To a few people out there that are like, oh, please. You know, my attitude has always been, so really, you really think we're the only life form in the universe capable of communicating? How about imagine this? Imagine that we are one of the lesser forms, and that our galactic family is going, oh God, the kids, oh, what are they up to now? You know, imagine that. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is imagining the possibilities. You had said something just a little bit earlier. That's one of my favorite lines, Sheila. I wasn't even surprised to hear it from you. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Now, I cannot claim to be a walk-in. I have no cerebral understanding of all that you've expressed to me, how you know, that sudden shift that you went through, that you thought was a psychotic episode or a breakdown of some kind, because I arrived this way. I arrived a weirdo, from as early as my memory allows. I have felt like a stranger in a strange land, a misfit on this planet. I looked around from, 2, 3, 4 years old, feeling like some cosmic mistake had been made, some clerical error in the universe that brought me here. I didn't understand. And so I learned at a very young age, to fake it till I make it. And I'll give you a couple of specific examples. When I was 14 years old and I had a score a musical score laid out across a table in the cafeteria of my school, Burrowville High School. And someone walked up to me and said, "What's that?" And until that moment, I didn't know that not everyone was born with the ability to read music. You know, I play 7 instruments. I was a professional singer for many years, decades of my life. Sheila, you know, because I go out and, you know, when I'm at your place, I'm singing to the valley. Oh my God. The best photographs and the closest encounter that I have ever had was right outside your front door. And I didn't even know it while I was taking pictures of the valley and the sun coming up over the ridge behind your lovely home. I didn't know. I was just trying to catch the sunlight, the purple mountains majesty. I even said that to you when you walked out to throw yourself into the warming up car. I was like, "Sheila, purple mountains majesty." And you're like, yeah, I live here. Don't take it for granted, chick, not at 10,000 feet, because you're closer to them than any of us. But it was when I got on the airplane that I went to close down my phone. And instead of it doing what it would normally do, which is allow me to put it on airplane mode, suddenly all my photographs came up. And I had taken 4 photographs of the valley, click, 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 so that I could try to get the whole valley. And in those 4 photographs, well, I've had some of the top ufology researchers in the world say, you've got something no one else has got. And the last one, it went from, I guess you have 40 or 50 acres there. And the first one was way down in front of a little color, this color, rose, down in front of a very large evergreen. And it took me 3 seconds to take 4 photographs. And in those 3 seconds, that what I could only describe as an orb with a face was in my face, but I didn't see it. But when I opened the photograph, it was the face of the extraterrestrial. And it is so extraordinary that I printed it in my new book, which is called A Wonder to Behold. And don't even go on Google or Amazon looking for it, because I only sell it privately. And that doesn't mean that I'm a fear-based carbon unit. I just was told they're not ready yet. Well, now I've done an extended version of it, you know, that's for everyone. And it's not just going out to my readers, but anyone that is drawn to it, because I had to experience the paradigm shift. The whole book makes recurring references to the pending paradigm shift that, you know, we're just at the very beginning stages. Here we go, here it comes. And then boom, here it was. Yeah. And I had to step back and, you know, I communicated with them and said, you know, what do I do now? You know, what do I do now? And I spoke to my publisher and I said, everything's on hold. Don't release it nationally or internationally yet. Just leave a placeholder for it, because I need to write more. And so I tacked on about 20 pages and a bunch more incredible photographs of things that have happened to me in the last year or so that have been added into it. So the extended version of A Wonder to Behold, which it's, and I blame them for this, its extended subtitle is Guideposts for Intergalactic Engagement with Humanity. But they made me put all those words, and it looks really good on, I mean, it really does. It looks great on the book, but you know, if I thought I was wordy, they got it all over me. But it is actually the book, which can be procured, the first edition can be procured from me directly, and Sheila will let anybody know how to reach me that wants the original first edition. But if I were you, I'd wait like a month and get the hardbound one with all the new stuff in it, because it's over the charts, off the charts for sure, out of this world. I'm very proud of it. It's, I think, the best work of my life. It's light years ahead of what I've already brought out into the world, which in itself has ushered in a great deal of enlightenment to my hundreds of thousands of people that have read the trilogy, that I never expected. I did not know they were out there when I wrote it. I just wrote it because I had to, because it was time. And for those of you that don't know anything about my background, you know, don't try to throw me out of the pool because I wrote 3 books about ghosts and spirits, because they are just as connected and interconnected as the family is. They're just in a different dimension now. And I think that growing up, and there was a movie made about my family's experience called The Conjuring, which was a blockbuster hit in 2013. But the whole true story behind that predominantly fictionalized film is in the trilogy. And it's I don't think of it as a horror story at all. It's a love story with perhaps a wicked supernatural twist, but it's not a horror story. I think that, you know, as Madame Curie said, and I'll paraphrase, we fear what we don't understand. The more we understand, the less we fear. It is now time to, you know, come to a new understanding. Well, in that same respect, I left out all of my references or that process that I went through as a youngster, interacting and engaging with fourth dimension beings, i.e. spirit, in that old farmhouse up in Harrisville, Rhode Island. That was the gateway for me. It was knowing them. And it doesn't mean that I didn't have conscious contact prior to that. I think that I did, but I didn't understand what it was yet. But it was living in that farmhouse that opened me to a deeper and a richer understanding that we don't live in a 3-sensory 5 or a 3-dimensional 5-sensory realm, that we actually live, you know, not in a limited world, but in an unlimited universe. And when I was 13 years old and we were living at the farm, was when I had my first conscious contact. And a flotilla of vessels moved directly over the farmhouse. The largest one, and because I was so young, it skewed my frame of reference. I can't tell you how big the main vessel was. It was enormous. And then all around it, there probably, I would say probably at least 12 vessels that matched. They were all geometric figures. Some were round, some were squares, some were triangles, some were quadrangles, but they were on, you know, opposite sides of the vessel, as though this was their, it was their escort. And the underside of it looked like, you know, take a city and flip it, just flip a city of your choice. And the protrusions underneath this vessel looked like an upside down city. I could see all the lights and all of the, I mean, it was just, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I couldn't speak. I got put in the bubble, what I call being put in the bubble. I don't remember even hearing birds sing or any sound. There was no sound at all around me. And I lived out in, you know, rural northwestern Rhode Island. There was always natural sound around us, but nothing. I don't know how long I was out there. I know that it was moving very slowly. It was gorgeous. There was, every vessel was seamless. It was low enough that I could see enormous detail in the flotilla. And 40 years later, 40 years, and I'm a researcher, how I didn't come across this information prior, I don't know. But 40 years later, I heard a lecture about this flotilla of ships at the Star Works conference where I first met you, Sheila. It was, a number of years ago. And I sat there and cried like a baby at the back of the conference room, and the tears are just pouring down my face. And, my friends are like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, oh my God, talk about a moment of validation. And what the lecture was about was this extraordinary flotilla of vessels that showed up somewhere on the radar over Nova Scotia, came down the eastern seaboard, got down to like the Delaware, Maryland area, hop skipped it over the, no, mommy's not crying, honey. I have a little dog here. When she sees me cry, will hop in my lap, and I'm not crying, baby, I'm fine. And went over and did a tour of Western Europe before the Royal Air Force scrambled their fighter jets, and then poof, it was gone right off the radar. There it went, right over the North Pole, and it was gone. The estimate was that at the time that it went directly over the heads of approximately 60 million people. There were 10,000 reports of it. So if you extrapolate that out, does that mean that millions and millions of people saw it, but they didn't report it? They didn't know who to report it to. MUFON was, just an idea in somebody's head predominantly at that point. It was decades and decades ago, early 70s. And I was a child. I saw it as a 13-year-old child. I didn't want to tell my mother what I saw. It took me the better part of a year to tell her, after she and I stood in the backyard with the rest of my family and watched 3 vessels seemingly graphing the earth. Zip, 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 3 of them. And then they all came together, and then it was like they made a decision. Okay, we're out of here. Boom. They all went off in different directions, and even my whole family, all 7 of us, stood outside and watched it. And my mom, when they left, we went back in to do the dishes back in the pantry. She had seen them originally through the pantry window, because we lived out in utter darkness. There were no street lights. It was, every night was a trip into the universe, just stepping outside the house, just kind of like your house, Sheila. And that's the night that I told my mom what I had seen, earlier, about a year earlier. And she was not in any way surprised at all. And subsequently, I've come to understand that both of my parents, who are both contactees, everybody in my family has seen something extraordinary or had something extraordinary happen to them. But several of my sisters did not want me to write about it in my trilogy, House of Darkness, House of Light. They're like, "Oh, no. Just don't talk about your little friends. Just write about the spirits. Just write about that." And they thought that if I would be taken more seriously in terms of telling the story of the 10 years we lived in the farmhouse, if I did not include the sentient, prescient beings who are circumnavigating this globe and cohabitating with us, that was somehow less credible than dead people. So in order to keep the peace in my family, I did not talk about my quote unquote little friends, and they're not that little. And instead, it culminated in a book 10 years later called A Wonder to Behold. And it culminated at the perfect time, which is now, which is the paradigm shift. In fact, that's the addendum that I put in. This is it. Welcome to the paradigm shift. Now, the paradigm shift isn't one thing. It's that point in time where everything changes and nothing is ever the same. I guess that's the most simplistic way that I can put it. It's not just COVID-19. It's not just political unrest. It's not just social unrest. It's not just racial grievance. It's not just the smothering and strangling of Mother Earth, precious Gaia, our mother. It's all of it. In the same way that we are all of it. We are everything. Everything is energy. Everything is one thing. Everything is consciousness. Everything is existence. We're living on a living being planet. So what's happening really, I think, in my humble opinion, having lived 62 years in this very strange place, is that we are ultimately coming to a new awareness of our old reality. We're just prying wide open. It's like all of this existed prior. We're just coming to an awareness of it. In the same way that my mother and father, during an argument when I was a kid, were having words about whether or not our house was haunted. And my mother walked up to my father and she said, Roger, the existence of the spirits in this house is not predicated upon your belief in them. He didn't really have a response to that. Who could? He just had to change his mind. And that's what all of us are doing right now. We're changing our mind. We're opening our minds to the possibilities that we live in a multidimensional universe. Well, it's not just a possibility. It's not just a probability. It is our reality. But there are an awful lot of people that are very, very comfortable living in this oppressive 3D, 5-sensory realm. That's complicated enough. To add to that is just a little poo, you know, it's too much for a lot of people to take in. Sheila, in the same way that you struggled with your shift in awareness and your self-awareness, self being capitalized in quotations. What self are you? You know, who are you? Where are you from? Well, where are all of us from? And why do some of us come into this realm knowing certain things? Why do some of us routinely connect? It's not supernatural or paranormal to me. It is normal and natural for me to engage on a day-to-day basis. I have multiple sightings a day. They're all around me all the time. They protect me. They love me. They watch over me. They give me every opportunity to tell the world about them. And I do so fearlessly. I don't care what someone's reaction is to what I'm speaking, which is my truth of my existence and a manifestation of my consciousness. I wasn't always so fearless. I wasn't. I was almost 50 years old before I found the wherewithal to get to the point where I literally did not care, that the message was more important than the reaction.
Yeah.
And I think that probably everyone that's involved with this extraordinary conference could, in one way or the other, say the same thing, because it takes a great deal of personal courage to come out into a multidimensional universe. One of the shortest chapter of my new book is also, I think, the most poignant and profound. And one night, 4 or 5 years ago, I had been actually working on a screenplay that I was deeply involved in. And it was the most important work of my life to that point. And I went to bed. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning and I was exhausted. And I went to bed. I know, Sheila, I already told you this story. I went to bed and I got all cuddled up and It was winter. It was cold, even in Florida. Oh my God, it had to be in the 50s. I thought I was going to freeze to death. And I had to put socks on, okay?
Okay.
And I was all cuddled up, and all of a sudden something physically moved me, like shoved me, just a brief little boom. And I was like, no, you know what? Just not tonight. I'm not tonight. I'm really tired. I'm going to try to sleep through. Well, I'm outside every morning at 3 a.m. I have been for a decade or more. And that one night I was like, no, not doing it. Not doing it. I'm going to sleep. Well, I closed my eyes. I cuddled up a little closer with my body pillow, my soulmate, I swear to you. And now I have a dog, which has replaced my body pillow, but she was a gift from the universe too. Buttercup, Princess Peanut Buttercup. And so I got shoved again, only this time the whole bed moved. So I thought, okay. I grabbed my robe, I put my slippers on, marched outside, went into my very large driveway, into the center of it, looked straight up and said, what is it? What? What? Now that the adrenaline has surged through me, and usually I'll have an extraordinary sighting, like, we're right here, we're in the neighborhood, we just wanted to stop by and say hi. I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing anything. And I have an extraordinary view of the sky around my home, especially out over Lake Apopka, where there is nothing. I mean, it's just sky. It's beautiful. And nothing. I'm seeing nothing. And then all of a sudden, a light so bright flashed in my third eye that it caused me to close my eyes. And it wasn't a sighting. It was an ancient memory of my childhood. And my mother and father had taken us. We had only been living at the farm a short time. And they decided, we were going to go get farm fresh eggs. So there was an old chicken farm right across we were up in the northwest corner of Rhode Island. So all we had to do was cross over into Connecticut and drive about maybe 5 miles, and there it was. And so when my father's talking to the farmer's wife takes my mother and the 5 of us, the 5 little girls, into the part of the coop area where they were allowing some of the chickens to hatch, the eggs to hatch, to make more chickens. And I was, oh my God, it was so exciting. I'd never seen anything like these incubators, these long lines of eggs, and some of them were moving. And I reached over to one that was moving because I saw the tip of a beak come through the shell.
Oh.
And I got so excited, and I reached over to crack the shell open to let the baby out so that I could see the baby. And my mother gently grabbed my hand and retracted it. And she said, oh no, honey, if you crack the shell open, the baby will die. I'm like, what? I almost killed a baby chick because I didn't know better. I had to learn that lesson, and the test in soul school always comes before the lesson. And I almost killed an innocent baby chick because I didn't know that I couldn't help it be born out into this big world. So I thought, well, why am I remembering something that happened when I was 12 years old? And now I think 56 at the time. Why am I remembering that? And I just stood out there like agape. I said, okay, there's got to be some message here. What is it? Why am I remembering a lesson that I learned so well, so long ago, that I forgot about this? I hadn't thought about that in all these years. It was not present in my consciousness. It was buried back in the back of the computer in my subconscious in a download somewhere that I'd learned the lesson. I moved on. And I went back into the house and I opened the computer and I wrote a brief treatise called The Chicken and the Egg. And what my mother was trying to explain to me as a child is that the exact amount of energy that is required for that baby chick to peck its way out of its own enclosure is equivalent to the amount of energy it will require to live on the outside. And if it doesn't build the strength from the inside out, it won't survive on the outside. And that's the message from them. That's what they told me. Well, I will be completely honest with you. In recent months, in my anger, in my frustration, in my, oh my God, what's going on down here? I have gone out a few times into that same driveway and just said, could you get down here and help us? Now, I know they can't do this for us. We have to save ourselves from ourselves. I know that. And yet in my frustration, I've been like, we could use a little help down here. This is kind of a critical time, point of critical mass, reference point. Here we are, this is the holy shift. And the message that I get immediately, and it's not in my own voice, it's not in any voice, but it permeates my consciousness, and it's always exactly the same. So, you thought this would be easy? Same message over and over and over again. So, you thought this would be easy? And it's not said in some kind of snarky way, it's not said to me. It's said in a compassionate way, a loving way, but also trying to make it self-evident to me that what I know is that we have to save ourselves from ourselves. They cannot do this for us. Now, if I were to have this discussion or this lecture in most locations on the planet with the vast amount of people that are wandering around lost in the dark like little children, they would look at me like I had 3 heads or 3 eyes, or that I was some kind of aberration on this planet. I'm one of the most normal people. So are you. So are all of us. We're the ones that are the most enlightened. We're the ones with the greatest awareness of what is happening to us, for us, with us, through us. When I do lectures at paranormal conferences and I start talking about downloads and describing the actual physical process that occurs, I talk about how I don't fight it. I've been to the ear doctor a number of times. I do not have tinnitus. When I think of the ENTs out there that are making money hand over fist from people who are just simply being fed information and they think something's wrong, they're cleaning up. When I describe that process and I talk about now when it hits wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I pause, I stop. I bring my world to a complete moment of ever present in the moment, close my eyes and take it in. There's no resistance at all to it because I am being given information. I have likewise come to understand that I am a healing conduit, that I can embrace another human being, even a perfect stranger, of which we really, none of us we might be imperfect strangers, but we all know each other and we're all connected. But I can, people will walk up to me and I enfold them in my arms and they sob uncontrollably. And Sheila, you've seen it happen. And I just whisper in their ears, give me your pain. I won't hang on to it. Give it to me. What comes from you is up and out. In the same way that I sing their music to them, my favorite songs, which are their favorite songs that I embody and sing out to them. It's this perfect circle. And they come. I mean, last year, somebody filmed this beautiful orb that was way out there in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And it was like a plum color in the middle, and then right as the circumference, each, like the rings of a tree, I guess is the best way to describe it, went from like a plum color at the center to lavender on the outside. And here it comes, and everybody's like, oh my God, look at that, here it is. And I'm just singing, doing my thing, and just loving on them and thanking them for coming, and thanking them for trusting me enough to have brought people to introduce them to. They don't come when called, they're already here. They just make their presence known with the people that I bring with me. And this particular vessel, if I could call it that, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it came down right to ground level. It landed on top of my head. It bounced to my shoulder. This is all on film. We've got the whole thing on film. Went down to the ground, danced I had a full length dress on and an overcoat, and just danced all around the bottom of me, and then came up and went into my heart chakra, and it never left my body. It never left my body. It's the same one that got into my phone 2 years ago and fried the motherboard, but didn't pay a damn dime to replace the phone. Not for nothing, but really, that was an expensive lesson. Fried the motherboard complete. I told him, get out, you're going to mess with my phone, get out. It was all over my screen. Same exact thing, all over my screen. And not this phone, and then it just came up and came out the top of it and went ping, poof, it was gone. 2 days later, phone dead. So there's that. There are some liabilities to hanging out with the galactic family. I will admit that. However, I really love them in a way that I've never. My mother is laying in the other room. I worship the ground she walks on. I am her seed. I am her heart and soul. I worship and adore my mother. I love them more. I love them differently. It's what I refer to as higher love, cosmic consciousness love. I am so honored, so humbled, so privileged to have the relationship that I have with them, that I feel often like just dropping to my knees. Like, why did you pick me? Why is it me? Why am I here? Maybe this wasn't a mistake. Maybe I just had to grow into and evolve into my own awareness of who I am and why I'm here. And what I want to assure everyone of right now is that all of us that gather in this unique, loving, beautiful, enlightening space together in cyberspace, very roomy, very comfy, is that every single one of us was born to be here right now, so that we could each in our own unique individual way help usher in the paradigm shift. We are strong enough to handle the grief, to counsel others through the losses that are being incurred. In the last 3 weeks, I know of 26 people who have died from COVID-19. The mothers and the fathers of my friends and followers, the sisters, the brothers, the aunts, the uncles. One of my producers has lost 16 members of his family since mid-December because they decided that COVID wasn't real and they were all going to get together for Thanksgiving. So while he stayed in his apartment in West Hollywood, all the rest of his family got together, and now most of them are dead. Now that's what he's dealt with in the last 3 weeks of his life. And I'm there for him. I counsel him. I help lead him through this extraordinary grief and assure him that they are indeed on the other side. That Dolores Cannon, I sent him Dolores Cannon's book about the shredding of old and new earth. I said, they're right there. You can't see them, but they're right there. They're right there. And they're waiting for us. And this is all a miracle. miracles being science that we do not yet understand. This is all magic. This is all marvelous. Life and death is not the beginning and the end. Death is merely a new beginning. It's just a transformational process. It's transition in a way that we have not yet come to comprehend fully, because we're so ego-driven as a race that we're so upset that we miss our loved ones so much that we make their death all about us. But it's all about all of us. And it's a process, and it's a beautiful process. And if we embrace it, and we embrace our fear and thank it for all the times it tapped us on the shoulder and said, oh, don't do that. Don't go there. You're not getting in the car with him. You know, that's what it's for. It's a tool. When we relinquish our personal power and our decision-making to it is when it hobbles us. But when we accept it and understand that right now we're all facing our mortality simultaneously, worldwide, this is the best time to slow down, to come to an understanding that we are all part of one thing, the existence and the consciousness of the universe. And let this transpire as it was designed. If it wasn't supposed to happen this way, it would have happened another way. So feel the love, get centered in the love of this, not the loss, because there is no such thing as loss. There is only transformation. There is no such thing as fear at its core. The opposite of love is fear, not hatred. Hatred is born of fear. Relinquish the fear and just love powerfully. We are made of love. We are born to love.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us today. This is so wonderful to have you here. And, you know, your words are for all of us, you know, because we are all just one. And yesterday we talked about the love. Today we start off talking about the love, and that's all that there is. I think, you know, we've reached critical mass to the point we're now tipping the scale, and all of what we see as chaos, I believe, is just our light shining into the darkness. And we're saying no more. We're creating this paradigm.
Exactly. You know, our society, we are human beings. Well, me, not so much. I don't know exactly what I am. I'm at least part. I won't have my DNA done because, you know, I don't even want to know what part. But, you know, we are all flawed. We are. And we all evolve. And our spiritual ascension is well underway as a human race, is well underway. And that's difficult because we have to let go of some of what we once self-identified and come into our new awareness, into our new experience of our new reality. It's not an alternate reality, even though when I look at the fracturing of humanity right now, I do see that happening, but that's part of the process too. That's just their route. You know, we're all taking a different path, and it's equilateral. It's not a vertical ladder where I'm up here looking down on you. No, that's not how it works. We're all side by side, by side, by side, like a long Venn diagram, and just holding each other's hands, leading each other home, walking each other out of the darkness of the woods into the light of a new understanding of what existence is. And, you know, I think of society as this large cauldron, and, you know, a lot of sediment and a lot of toxic stuff is filtered to the bottom over, you know, hundreds of years. And right now, there's a flamethrower that's causing everything to bubble to the surface. Well, all of us know that there is nothing more cleansing or disinfecting as sunlight, as the light. And so there are a lot of spiritualists that say darkness does not exist. There is only the light. I beg to differ. There is darkness and there is light in our 3D, 5 sensory realm in duality in which we live. There is a perpetual mortal conflict between good and evil. But here's the good news. Evil is always conquered. Evil never wins. Good wins. It's more than a concept. It's our reality. If goodness did not defeat evil, none of us would be here anymore. All of us would be speaking German, for instance. You know, we have overcome our worst faults, our worst our desires for separation, you know, coming out of the age of Pisces, which is very ego driven, into the age of Aquarius, which is the collective. We're more and more enlightened on a day-to-day basis as we raise the vibration of the entire planet. And thoughts are things. I lectured about this at your wonderful event a year and a half ago. I think it was in the summer, but it felt like it was winter, as you recall. But I lectured about this. This is what's most important for us, I think, to come to terms with, is that this process, this ongoing illumination, which is occurring because we're beginning to accept the fact that we are part of a collective, that we are not just merely individuals struggling to find our own way, that we are, yes, all each unique, but we are all one. And I think that that's the beauty, because so many people, especially now, are feeling very isolated. And this is the time when we're actually, it's a unique juxtaposition, ironic even, that we're the most isolated from each other that we've ever been, that the only way to really show somebody how much you love them is to stay the hell away from them. And yet we gather in cyberspace, very roomy, so that we can have this connective tissue that's happening between us that is pure light. And how many hearts and minds and souls will this conference reach? And everything else that we're putting out there, fearlessly putting out there over and over, and someone's going to stumble upon this and it will change their lives forever. And so on that note, my time is up. I love you dearly. I love you all. I'm off to build a fire in the fireplace. I'll hop back in later on. But thank you for inviting me to this remarkable, truly inspiring event. It has been my privilege and my honor to attend.